Hello folks and welcome. Linux Mint 21.2 beta, Cinnamon desktop. I'm going to give you a tour and overview. This video will definitely be more than 2 minutes, but all my videos have timelines and chapters. So I'm going to go through first steps and a little bit of documentation, but for your folks that wanting to have NeoFetch information, let me enlarge that slightly for you. This again is a beta copy. You can download the image and test drive it right now. Linux Mint 21.2. Again, this is beta. Cinnamon Desktop 5.8.2. And you can see all my themes and icon sets. And the CPU, GPU stuff. So I'm filming in 1920 by 1080. My video will be more than 2 minutes. All of my videos have timelines and chapters. My made-up user for today is Bob. I just like to have fun once in a while. Alt and F4 to close. And let me talk about a couple of things. First of all, you can download the ISO, burn it onto a USB stick or DVD to give it a test drive. I would also encourage that you read the release notes. I'll talk about the new features in a second because there are quite a few. So welcome screen, first steps. The first thing you may notice if you are using the previous version of Mint, when you click this launch desktop colors, it is different. All right, I'll talk about all that stuff as I go. Let me just give you the quick. I encourage that you turn on time shift, which is system snapshots. Check out your driver manager, especially your update manager. And if you are, you're going to be using the beta version, just expect a lot of updates until they officially release it. System settings, if you need to make some changes, and of course, take a look at the software manager, which has also been updated. There's probably a couple of applications out of that 60,000 you can find. A little humor there, folks. The firewall is GovW. It does come turned off. So if you use Warpinator, which is a file sharing app that Linux Mint provides you, you may want to investigate inside of Warpinator. The settings on the last tab is to import the rules into GovW if you are using the firewall. So you can have a little, care for your experience. All right, documentation. Let me click on new features. All right, so I'm not sure what a comfortable text size is for you, but I will try to get this fairly large. How about 140%? Cinnamon 21, Cinnamon 21.2. 21.2. It's going to be supported until 2027. This is coming directly from linuxmint.com. The code name is, or the little pet name or cute name they gave it is Victoria. All right, so Slick Greeter, I can barely say that. Anyways, I'm going to double click on this for a second. This part here is found on your login screen, kind of in the upper corner. When you click that keyboard thing, there's a huge layout that drops down with multiple keyboards, and I mean a lot of different keyboard layouts. A lot of different keyboard layouts. You know, Linux distributions are used around the world. And a lot of people forget about that. But Linux Mint never does. And Linux Mint has always produced a great product in my book. And I've been around Linux for over 25 years. But in either case, I will continue. So, I will skip over some things. And I will resize some things also. But more importantly, I always have timelines and chapters on my new channel. So just keep that in mind. The software manager has been revamped and it's got a new UI, user interface, and I will talk about it a little bit later. Your file manager Nemo is also a little bit zippier when it comes down to thumbnails. And it does use a little bit more CPU cycles, but it's a welcome sight in my book. I really like that feature. 168 new features are usable visual changes. One of them is that one right there, HEIF. I'm glad they support that now. Everybody has a different thing. And there's a lot more things in here that I like too. If you're unfamiliar with Linux Mint, all right, first of all, Linux Mint has always done a great job when it comes down to their desktops. Again, I've been around Linux for a long time. Anyways, they offer the 3 desktops. The Cinnamon has got all the bells and whistles. The Mate is more traditional, and the XFCE is more forgiving on older computers, if you're kind of wondering what these flavors are. All right. In either case, we have different icon sets. Now, the folder icons would no longer have a stripe. Well, I was actually fond of that. But you know, everybody's different. So I see Clem made a screenshot of these to give you some examples. That's wonderful. But there's more to this than meets the eye. There's a lot more icon sets, trust me. All right, so, but in either case, I'll continue. All right, so we have some bubbles that pop up. You point at some things and you get more information, in other words. You'll find that in a lot of places. I think they're referring to the corner here and the title bar alignment here, but in either case, I thought I'd just point that out. Lots of shortcuts, a lot of different places. You can use keyboard shortcuts like Control X, C, and V for cut and copy and paste. You know, you're highlighting text, for instance. You will just use Control C for copying that, or you can right click and copy. There's lots of different shortcuts, lots of different options with Mint, and a lot of people haven't discovered all of them. Myself and others make videos also to point out those kind of things. All right, I'm going to continue. Again, I'm trying to get a lot of things scrolled into time frame here. So Mint 5.8 has a new theme box, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. Gesture control, also touch upon that. Warpinator again is used for file sharing on your local network, and other improvements. And artwork also, some really nice artwork. Some people call them wallpaper, backgrounds, wallpaper, mouse cursor, mouse pointers. You know, everybody's got different names for things. Linux Mint 21.2 features the Cinnamon 5.8, and the kernel version is a 5.15 series kernel. You saw the total number when I had this in NeoFetch earlier. It's that's the complete number of my current kernel. Close. So they are claiming support until 2027. Normally what happens is they usually release something prior to that, historically. LTS is long-term support. All right. So I'm going to actually close this window and continue. And I'm going to actually just point out the fact you can get some help from the web forum, IRC chat rooms. And you can also look for videos you know, from folks like myself and others that do videos on Linux Mint. May want to consider contributing to Clem and his team. They do some great work. Anyways, I am going to hit Alt F4, and I am going to talk about software next. So let's start with Software Manager. They have a new revamped Software Manager. The search feature is now over to your left, and it has a featured area, a category, and a top rated. You'll also see things like FlatHub here, and this is coming from flathub.org. Get a bigger screenshot on some of these things, and some of them have multiple screenshots, hence the arrows. Details and reviews, click, scroll. This part changes constantly. VLC has 2 versions, regular package from Mint, Flatpak version. I want you to notice the download size is 13 megabytes for system and 1 gigabyte for the FlatHub. Why is it so large? Because it's a self-contained package. There are some differences with Flatpak software, but in general, I'm going to just use the shortened version. There are maybe reasons why you'd want the Flatpak, but I'm not going to get into that. Just wanted to point out the fact that if you're concerned with disk space, you may want to check that out once in a while if you're downloading large software. Very simple to install. Screenshots are also different, if you noticed. This one has more screenshots. Well, actually only 2. And again, I can click that to get a bigger picture. So that's Software Manager in a nutshell. Of course, you can make this larger. It doesn't explain how many pieces of software in Software Manager or Mint install, but this is the version. And I'm going to use another piece of software to give you a rough idea, minus Flatpak software. So if I type in SY, and again, this is a great search feature, Synaptic Package Manager. Not really going to get into too much. You click things, you mark them for installation, you mark all the additional stuff, and then you hit apply. That's to install software in Synaptic. 70,104 packages are listed. I'm sure you can find a thing or two in there. 2168 are currently installed. I'm using the data down here. search feature. Where's the stuff coming from? Repos, Mint and Ubuntu. There are no additional PPAs or repos that I have. And the Synaptic Package Manager really doesn't have a lot of things to do with Flatpak. It's more of a software manager thing. That's why the repos are not listed in here. But you can install those 70,000 packages in here. It's pretty simple to do. Not really going to get into that part, and I'm going to use Alt F4 and continue. You can also use Terminal. I use Terminal for quite a few things actually. Let's get into the settings. Backgrounds, new folders, Victoria. Lots of different wallpapers, beautiful wallpapers, but this is the latest folder. You can of course bring in your own folder by creating a folder in your file manager, deposit pictures from your digital camera in there of your kids, your pets, your friends, whatever, and bring the folder in here by hitting plus and finding it in your file manager, and bring the whole folder in here. Don't forget, as I pointed out earlier, there's lots of hidden settings all over the place, and one of them here is play backgrounds as a slideshow. All you do is activate it, and it starts running with whatever folder you have picked, and these are not grayed out. I can't click them. And it'll start changing the pictures based on what you programmed in here. If you're doing random, this will become random. So right now this is doing sequential, so I'll turn it off and back on, and this will be a random picture. So right now this is probably that one right there instead of the first one, and it kind of skips around. A lot of people don't know there's a slideshow in here, but anyways, built in. Effects, you don't like them, turn them off. Font selection, you want them bigger, make them bigger. There's a drag bar here, or plus or minus. You can also go into here temporarily and slightly make them bigger here. You can also go in here and slightly change the scaling factors. Be very careful with this one. This really blows up fonts large if you are playing with this. Just use that conservatively. New feature, themes. You have mixed, dark, light. You have styles. You have colors. You have the old style settings. You have mouse cursors. These are your defaults. You have button sets, icon sets, desktop sets. There's a drop down arrow down here. Still not enough for you? Add and remove. Allow this to refresh, and you'll have a scroll bar down here. Lots of features. Lots of themes to add. Whenever you click this icon, it generates an icon in your file manager. I am going to basically hit Control H to show you hidden files and folders. This icon gets generated. This folder gets made as soon as you click that. The dot icons folder I use to install additional mouse pointers and also icon themes. But anytime you click that, if the folder is not here, Mint generates this folder. I use this folder in almost every Linux distribution to install mouse pointers and also icon themes. But wanted to be aware that if you don't have that folder, all you can do is click that and it generates that. You can also manually create that folder. I'm going to continue. If you decide to alter any of these three, because you can make combinations of, I'm going to recommend screenshots. Just a recommendation. If you are wanting to increase your scroll bar width, you can do that here. Let me show you what the default scroll bar looks like in the file manager. I will also very zippy file manager, as you noticed. But take a look at the, let me grab a hold of this thing and move it out of the way for a second. So the scroll bar is here. It's very thin. If I wanted it wider, I would just do this. And this would be ridiculously wide, but I'm going to have to close and reopen to let you see the demo on this. I'll open up, I'll turn off hidden for a second. And I'll open up the pictures folder and let you see the size of that scroll bar. That's really, really wide. That's probably excessive. Now I'll make it really thin. Only 2 pixels wide. So I'm going to try to keep these boxes away from each other and reopen the same thing and let you see what the scroll bar looks like now. It's ultra thin. Alright, so somewhere in here is the default, I think. right, now I'm going to close and reopen with that turned off. Okay. That's the default size. So if you want them bigger, slide that on, slide that over to some larger number than that. Okay. Lots of little bells and whistles all over the place. So that's themes. Accessibility, contrast, large text, screen reader. Keyboard, this is normally turned off. All that does is when you turn that on, is when you depress the caps lock key, it gives you a little reminder. With this off, it doesn't do that. I'm depressing the caps lock key right now. It shows me nothing. Now I can see it. It's off, it's on. Off, it's on. You can also install applets and have that as indicators down there. I'm going to turn that back off. As you can see, a lot of things are off by default. Okay, lots of little tips and tricks, as one would say. You can put your own picture in there if you like. Applets belong down on your panel bar. Desklets belong here on the desktop. If you've seen any of my videos with large calendars that are non-clickable, that's a desklet. This calendar here is one with that. You can put events in. That is done through calendar. All right, I'm going to continue. Time and date thing. You don't like the 24-hour clock, you can slide that off. You got AM, PM, and a full date. You can also customize these. You can also change the time zone in here. If you wanted to customize this, you can hit configure, slide that on. You can go to Mike's website and go check out foragoodsurftime.com. Mike's had this website up for a while. You can take a look at those formats. Here's your references, what all those percent symbols mean. You can also build your own and they'll start populating this field. All you do is when you get done is copy that. And then you can paste it in these fields. I'm going to turn that back off and continue. Okay, so you want the date? There you go. Turn it back off. So as you can see, there's a lot of things you can just slide on. So desklets, again, are just toys that go on your desktop. Applets are the little toys down here. So desktop, I personally don't like to put icons on my desktop, but if you have the inclining to do that, you can certainly do that. Don't forget, normally your icons are not this big. You'll do that through here. And I'll continue now. This is the only one that's on by default. Extensions, if you want see-through panel bars, you may want to try that one. Just install that. Under General, if you don't want Cinnamon to restart, I'm going to restart Cinnamon right now for you using an undocumented command. It's actually small r. There you go. I'm restarting Cinnamon. I don't edit my videos, so I did not edit this video. It's still filming while restarting Cinnamon. So anyways, you can turn that on and off if you like. New feature, gestures. Don't have a compatible device to give you an example, but this is a new icon. Hot corners, input, languages, notifications, online accounts. Again, you can sign in and it'll populate your events in here. I know that works for Google. I've tried it before. Panel edit. Remember, you have 3 zones. I recommend screenshots if you alter these. Preferences. Removable media. What to do. Privacy. Screensaver. Startup apps. Be careful what you turn off. Windows. You don't like the buttons over here. You want them on the left. Simple as that. Window tiling, don't like it, turn it off. Workspaces, don't like that, turn it off. Again, these are just sliders. A lot of things you can just turn on and off. Really no coding skills. Bluetooth, I'm not using. Color, I'm not using. This is GNOME disk utility, I'm going to skip over that. Displays. Depending on your screen resolution, your monitor and graphics card, you will have different selections. Okay, but I have scaling in here on mine. Graphics tablets, gonna skip over, I don't have one. Keyboard shortcuts, I have some videos for you if you are wanting to learn how to do that. Mouse size of the pointer, mouse cursor, mouse pointer. Okay, some things are resizable, some things not so much. Power management, also if you use this and change, also be aware that these two guys play together, screensaver and power manager. My printer, you can add printer manually. Mine is self-discovered. It's a network printer, just to give you the example. Sound can be clicked here or down on your panel bar. Quick system information. Driver manager does not require a password. You can just open that providing you're online and it's going to start looking for drivers. I don't need any. Firewall comes deactivated. It's GovW. You can turn it on. And if you're using Warpinator, just don't forget to go to that setup tab and import some rules for your firewall so your Warpinator will work properly. Login window, I'm going to skip. Software sources. If I didn't show that earlier in Synaptic, let me try the password again here. Is Mint and Ubuntu. And there are no other PPAs or repos that I'm using. Users and groups, if you need to add some children to your computer, you don't want to have them get into your bookmarks and your folders, good idea to create a user for them and make them a standard user. That way they can install software and do some system edits. Always a good idea. I'm going to use Alt and F4 to close and go through the menus really quickly. By the way, this is now resizable. So if you grab a hold of the corner here, trying to grab a hold of it, you can resize that, just like you can in an XFCE desktop. All right, accessories, pretty much the same stuff. If you don't mind, I'm gonna make this really huge, so that way I don't have to scroll. All right, that's what's in the accessories. This is the graphics side. If you need something like GIMP, don't forget that's like Photoshop. You can find that in Software Manager. Okay. Internet, you got the Firefox, you can install others. Don't forget web apps for web-based icons. You can certainly learn how to use this rather quickly. I do have some additional videos for you also, in case you want to know how to make web-based icons. You don't need any coding skills. Office, LibreOffice Writer, I believe it's 7.3. It's got the full suite. And there's your calendar. Again, don't forget the hamburger menu, and you can import different calendars, or you can just add manual events. All up to you. I added Simple Screen Recorder. It's the only piece of software that I installed. Everything else is stock. Okay. Admin tools. Don't forget to activate time shift if you're going to use this. 3 ways to install software one more time: Software Manager, Synaptic Package Manager, and Terminal. Preferences. That one does have a scroll bar. I'm just using my computer mouse for that. Places, recent stuff, and shortcuts. Little tip for you, if you wanted to, not right, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to open it, I meant to right click on it. This now has a dedicated, running dedicated GPU. You also have add to panel, desktop, and favorite, just like you had in the previous version. You can also do stuff like this. I will throw it in here, and then I'll drag it and dump it down here on my panel bar. It has to be between the last icon and this icon in here. And then you can click also and move it if you like. All right, I think I'm done other than these icons. Fairly self-explanatory: shut down, restart, and suspend. Log out, lock screen. Now I'll resize this back. So that's the new version of Linux Mint. Thank you for watching.